Hi, I'm David Nielsen, and today I'm going to talk to you about two of my passions, cooking and camping. Alrighty, raise your hand if you like cooking. Spectacular, alright. Now, raise your hand if you like cooking while camping. Bit less, but still a good amount. Alright, lovely. Alright, now imagine rolling grass-covered sand dunes. Over the top of the dunes, you can see a little bit of water before it meets the sky. It's cool and there's a bit of wind. You can hear waves crashing in the distance, smell charcoal smoke, and the mouth-watering smell of whatever's on the fire. This is a place I remember. Every Easter, my family, along with some family friends, would go down to Waipinga Beach and go camping. In the evenings, we'd walk down to the beach through the dunes for what felt like hours, but it was probably only a few minutes. We'd carry our rods down and set up on the beach, start fishing. While it was still light, we never caught much, but as the sun went down and the moon came up, we'd start to catch salmon trout every other cast. It was pretty good. We'd usually catch about 20, 25 a night, and then take them back to the campsite, back through the dunes. We got back well after dark and cooked them up on the communal barbecue at the campground there. Had a good feed for dinner. At the end of the camping trip, we often had some salmon trout left. So as not to waste it, we'd all take some home with us. Whatever was left after that, we'd take around the campsite and offer free fresh caught salmon trout to any campers who were willing. So, when it came time to planning my Class 12 project at the end of Year 11, I knew that I wanted to do something involving camping, but it was hard for me to decide what to do. There were so many ideas. I could build something that could be used for camping, or look at how camping affects your mental health. Do up a four-wheel drive and go camping, or go four-wheel driving just for the fun of it. Get a motorbike license and go bike camping. Camping on native country, or somehow converting a CFS truck into a camper. Finally, someone suggested that I should cook with fire and make some recipes, and from there the project grew. Over the summer holidays, I spent some time. I missed a slide. That's Waipinga. Over the summer holidays, I spent some time researching through books and online sources, looking at different recipes and native foods that I could use to help me in my project. I borrowed books from the library, read them, took them back, and probably should have written some stuff down, but didn't. I kept it all in my head, well, some of it at least. At the end of the summer holidays, I came to school to meet the person Kathy had suggested to be my mentor, Dave. When I got to school, I saw this old bloke in his great coat and trilby hat and glasses with a shirt that was probably once white, but no longer. He had a pair of green cargo pants and a beat-up pair of Doc Martens. I described my project idea to him, and we had a bit of a chat. He seemed like a decent bloke. Over term one, I called Dave every week, and we chatted about how the project could look moving forward, and what was going to need to be done and when to do it. We spent time working out details and making sure we had a plan going through the rest of the year. We talked about creating a recipe book and including some Indigenous techniques. Eventually, we decided the next step was going to have to be a camping trip. That took some planning. Our first consideration was dietary requirements. When cooking for a group of people, You have to take into account the dietary requirements of everyone you're cooking for. For example, if someone's gluten-free, we need to find substitutes for ingredients like flour, bread, biscuits, and swap them out. Sometimes gluten-free flour can make the end product a little more dry, so you might need to add a little more water to balance out the recipe. When we're catering for vegetarians, it's really easy to substitute meats for just about anything. You still need to take into account the nutritional value of the meat though, and include something that will have a similar effect. Protein keeps people full, and is best found in dark green vegetables, legumes, nuts, seeds, and mushrooms. Next, we talked about different types of camping. So, there's hiking, there's regular car camping, four-wheel drive camping, and caravans and camper trailers. I won't really count cabins because it's not camping. So, when you're hiking, you're going to want something light and nutritious, but still easy to prepare. These might be dehydrated meals, quick and easy to rehydrate, and also lots of snacky foods throughout the day. Car camping, you have more storage space, as well as some cooking implements and a stove of some kind. But you might not have a fridge, rather a cooler bag or an esky, so you want to stick to mostly non-perishable ingredients that will last a bit longer without a fridge. When you're four-wheel drive camping, you've probably got a fridge, so you can take meats and other perishables without too much hassle. You might even have some kind of built-in cooking system. Caravans and camper trailers basically have almost a full kitchen and maybe a bar fridge, so you've got plenty of cold storage and just about all the facilities you need to cook up just about anything. And in any of these situations, a fire is a wonderful way to cook that brings a sense of community and a nice warm place to sit around and have a good yarn. I have a strong memory of cooking on the beach on a couple of camping trips, and the sand and wind were not a good combination. One of the most recent camping trips I did was at Waipinga, and it was pretty sandy around there. I was cooking, it was windy, and the sand was blowing around. I was like, I can cook in this. I cooked up a decent sized pork belly, but it was crunchy, and not the good kind of crunchy. So, you really want something you can just take out of a bag and cook up with minimal prep. This pork belly, I had to take it out, score the skin, flip it over, score the underside, almost to the skin but not quite, coat it in mustard as a binder and then a barbecue rub for flavour. I then cut up some apples and potatoes, put them in an aluminium grilling tray and drizzle them with olive oil, salt and pepper. Put the pork belly on top, put it in the Weber, a lot of steps and a lot of time for sand to stick to just about everything. So, having considered all this, and with some recipes in mind, I went up to Anamuka. I experimented with different cooking techniques, using a fire, gas stove, cooking with a Dutch oven, hot plate, and straight on the coals. These methods are best for different types of cooking. A Dutch oven is great for soups, stews, baking, breads, and anything else you would use a pot or oven for. I made an eggplant lasagna in the Dutch oven over the fire alongside the opal diggings at Stewart Creek. Hot plates are best suited for frying like breakfast. You can cook everything on a hot plate and you get that lovely charred, smoky flavour. And finally, the coals. This is perfect for roasts and potatoes, as well as apples. And it's really simple. All you need to do is season whatever it is you're cooking, wrap it in foil and chuck it on the coals. Equipment is a very important part of campfire cooking. This includes everything from what you're going to cook, to pots and pans and utensils to cook with, to what you're going to eat with. And don't forget the seasonings. I decided to go for a camping trip to Rapid Bay in the spring holidays with a couple of my classmates. We went down for 3 days, and on the first night, we had steak and sausages for dinner, and I forgot the seasonings. The sausages, they were fine, they got enough seasonings in them, but the steak without any salt or pepper was a bit of a letdown. It still tasted alright, but it was missing a key ingredient. Another important thing to remember, especially when fire is involved, is to use caution when moving around the fire sources and have a first aid kit on hand in case things go south, as well as a way to manage the fire if it gets out of control. As for when you cook, you'll want as much light as possible because cooking in the dark sucks. It can be really difficult to tell the difference between raw, cooked and burnt food. While camping at Farina on what was the 4th day of the camping trip up at Anamuka, we got to the campsite nice and early and it was a lovely day and I kept putting off cooking. I was going to cook a gnocchi ragu, which I've cooked before and knew I could. So I kept putting it off, and eventually it started to get dark when I finally got around to it. By the time the dough was made, it was dark. And the rest of the cooking was a long and arduous process in the dark. And don't even get me started on the washing up. Camping can be rough, kind of like year 12, really. Last year on botany camp, it was cold, wet, everything was soaked, including the tents. Sleeping was cold, everything was wet. We didn't even have dry clothes. There were leeches, Price even got one in his eye. We were miserable. Botany is a hiking camp. My pack was 37 kilos, which is pretty heavy. That is because 90% of that was food. I filled it up with Kranskis, mince, fresh vegetables, truffle oil, and used it all. We had cheesy pasta with the cheese Kranskis. The mince was used on the first night for a simple spag bog, and many other wonderful foods, including bacon for breakfast. Not to mention, good cup of hot coffee in the mornings really did wonders. Oh, I missed a spot. The food made the experience manageable, kind of like it did for me this year. Coming home after a long day, stepping inside and smelling dinner cooking, and the feeling of being home, camping, either alone or with friends, and cooking over the fire. This is what makes it all worthwhile. Thank you. Alrighty, any questions? Eleanor, when the mic's ready.
David, I'm wondering about the seasonings
Yep.
and whether you uncovered any new ones this year.
New ones. So while up in Anamuka, I was able to have a talk with a local Guyanese woman from up in that area, and she was nice enough to give me some native plants to use as seasonings. So I've got a aniseed myrtle, which is a bit of a licoricey flavour, a bush pepper, which is really an earthy, round flavour, almost like coffee, but not quite as bitter and sour. Sugar gum, no. Strawberry gum, I think, was one of them. And I can't for the life of me remember the last one. But if you can't work out what season to use, salt and pepper is always a safe bet. Always.
David, David,
Yep.
I take it you like meat.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on roadkill?
Roadkill. And if it's on the side of the road, if it's fresh, it's free. If you see it get hit by the car, that's even better. If you don't, just make sure it's still warm-ish.
So no qualms? No qualms about
Nah.
preparing it?
Nah.
Any particular favourite roadkill?
Oh, kangaroo would be pretty good.
Yeah.
You get a lot off that one.
Yes. I won't quiz you on the exotic stuff. Well done.
Thank you.
Hi, David. Lovely talk. Thank you. Could you tell us what was your most spectacular dish and what was your most spectacular fail?
Oh, God. Spectacular dish. The eggplant lasagna actually turned out really nice. We sliced up the eggplants, salted them, laid them with eggplants, pasta sauce, cheese, a few layers, and yeah, it just in that Dutch oven there, and just put it in the fire, some coals on top. It came out perfectly. It wasn't chewy or anything. It's just great. And yeah, the pork belly. The pork belly wasn't good. It was crunchy. Yeah.
Thank you. David, that was really, really entertaining, as well as informative. So, well, this is kind of a double question. Do you think you've taken your love of cooking from some of your parents, or your family? Is that something that's important in your family? That's one question. And the other question is that Dutch oven there, is that what you use when you're camping all the time? Like, is that a kind of regular cooking pot for you?
Yeah, so definitely cooking is a big part in my family. We all enjoy cooking, I hope. And I do like to use that pot. It's bloody wonderful. But even better than that, we've got a BBQ, which is a small version of the Webbq. And it fits in the back of the car, take it anywhere, and it works amazingly.
Oh, thank you. Good.
Can I ask, does the camping enhance the cooking or the cooking enhance the camping?
Sorry, what was that?
Does the cooking enhance the camping?
Oh,
Or does the camping enhance the cooking?
both. Both. Food
Can you
tastes
say
better.
how? Yeah.
Food tastes better when you're camping, and camping is better with good food. Thank you. Alrighty. Before I finish up, I've got a few thank yous I want to make. First of all, I want to thank Kathy for supporting me through this year. If it wasn't for your guidance through this year, I would not be sitting here today. I guarantee it. You kept pushing me forward, even though I was fully prepared to sit back and just watch the year go by. Thank you very much. I appreciate it greatly. Next, I would like to thank my mentor, Dave, who was always there for a phone call whenever I needed, and was a great help in planning out how this all would work. I'd also like to thank my parents and other family for supporting me in this process and allowing me to go camping when, as an excuse to do my project work. I would like to thank Aaron for being a great support throughout this year and always willing to have a chat about just about anything. And finally, Class 12, for always supporting me in my times of procrastination. Thank you. Far out.